All right, I know why you're here. Last week we talked about ghosts, aliens, paranormal activities. This week a couple comments inspired me to sit down and tell the rest of my ghost stories. But first... Hey, yo.
I really need you with me. It's so lonely in this city. If you never knew what you wanted, how could you know joy is what you're missing? What you're missing? What you're missing?
I know I will.
I just spent all my money on some
Like
shit.
looking up, like when this was gonna come to Cincinnati, we're like, oh my gosh.
It was so long away.
Oh, like that's a year from now.
And now it's here.
Yeah.
Think of how much older we are now. Ugh.
Why do you always say that? We're not that old.
The last time I wore heels was the last time we went to a play.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I don't do good in these.
Like 25 feet from our place. So since we left Utah, actually even when we were there, we wanted to go see the Book of Mormon.
Ever since I was a child, I tried to be the best. So what happened?
I got Haley Book of Mormon tickets for her birthday back in January. The day's come. You are kind of walking like a giraffe. You kind of look like a
More
giraffe.
like a baby fawn, or not fawn. Like the
Yeah, you're trying to like get your legs. You're like Bambi.
Yeah, Bambi. Yeah.
You'll be a Mormon, and by gosh, a Mormon daughter. Just believe, a Mormon. Just oh, I believe, a Mormon. I
What'd you think?
I liked it. There were some brutal parts, but also some good parts.
I think it was hilarious just because we've lived it.
I liked the part where you could see the temple because we lived like literally across the street from the temple.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
Okay, part 2 of my paranormal experiences. So if you missed the last video, I used to live out in the country in Kentucky, and we saw some pretty weird things. It doesn't like always happen. I've just probably seen like 3 solid different things that happen that are just completely unexplainable. Okay, so before I get into my actual next experience that I saw, what inspired me to even make this part 2 of the video was after we posted the last video and some of you guys were sharing your ghost stories or paranormal experiences. Please, I encourage you to do it again. It might spark a third. As I was reading through the comments, I saw this comment that said, dude, that's so creepy. I heard people talking when there was no one around, which freaked me out. I also saw a group of like 6 or 7 orange lights in the sky flying across the sky and changing formation, but like actually moving backwards and forwards and stuff. Freaky. Okay, when I read this comment, I'm getting the goosebumps again. We started to mention this actual experience the other day.
For some reason, none of us.
I thought it was orange.
No, white.
Well,
that was something different.
Yeah, that wasn't even us.
Well, we blew it off because we had a neighbor that we feel like experimented with some drugs. So there was this one time when he said that he saw orange lights flying around like our house. Like they were our next door neighbor, but like they said it was high enough, but it was like above our house. So he was actually telling either my mom or my dad about it. Always sort of wrote that one off as probably the drugs talking. And he explained it the exact same way, that these like lights were like flying around changing formations, and we never saw or heard anything of it again. And apparently this is a really big thing because I found this like report database where people like will like type reports and stuff, and some of that could just be people goofing, but I think that some of these reports are actually kind of real. Okay, so now into my next firsthand experience with something paranormal. So the year out of high school, I actually worked at a pizza kitchen, making the hoagies and the pizza pies, toss them up. Kids love it. There were nights when I would close, and we would usually close around 11 or 12 or something. But by the time I was like getting home, it was either 11 or 12. So right in the time period of when the last event happened. So like I said, there's pretty much one main road out to where my parents live, and it's just like out in the middle of the country. So I'm getting pretty close to home, and as I'm getting close, I noticed this thing flying really low. And at first, I thought it was just like a drone. I'd seen them before, but it was like really big. It was pretty much like the size of a helicopter. That's fair to say. And it wasn't your normal like red and green lights flying over me. It was like red, yellow, green, blue, like all these different colored lights that were like on this thing. And that's what kind of like it caught my eye. At first I was like, that's kind of weird, because usually it's just like red and green or white on like planes and helicopters and stuff. And this thing was like honestly probably about 100 feet, 150 feet in the air. So it's not like high, like it's like, I could pretty much see the shape of it in like the pitch black sky. I could just tell that there was like, it was a big thing. I can't describe it because I don't have anything to compare it to. I'm probably about a minute or 2 minutes from my parents' house. So I'm just driving, and it's so late that I was like, I don't have anything else to do. If this thing keeps staying, like it was like following the road. I was like, if it's gonna follow this road, I'm gonna like follow it wherever it goes, because I had nothing better to do at the time, and I was just curious. After I like quickly like make this decision that I'm just gonna kind of keep driving, it just like speeds away like crazy fast. After it was just hovering, like, so it was like here, and then it's just like gone, like instantly, like in front of me, and I could barely see it in the distance. It was probably 10 or 15 seconds later, it comes shooting back. So it goes away, and then it comes and it shoots back, and then it's back to like hovering, like pretty much like right in front of my car, like not directly over top of it because I could still see it. So I was like driving and I was looking at it like right above the windshield, which I thought was really weird for the amount of speed that it picked up, and there was like no noise. Like it was dead silent. Even if it's a drone, you can hear the propellers going, but nothing. Thought that's weird. So once again, I'm back to like, okay, I'm gonna follow this thing. I'm driving, and I'm probably 200 yards away from like our street where you pull in and head down. And this is the time like when I like made the subconscious decision that I'm just gonna stay on this road and follow this thing until I find it. Right before I make the decision to fly straight, this thing like kind of like goes in front of me a little bit, probably about 100 yards in front of me, and it turns like right down my street. I was like, okay, this is weird, because I was thinking about following this thing, but then it was like leading me home, which is weird and gives me goosebumps again to think about. Meanwhile, it's still only like 100 feet, 150 feet off the ground. So I pull into our street, and then I go to the top of the street, and like we have like a cul-de-sac at the very top. And as I'm like pulling up, like reaching like the top of the cul-de-sac, it just shoots away again, like crazy fast, just gone. What was weird is we have like this tree line, because we're in the country. Instead of like staying as low as it was though, when it like took off this time, it started to kind of go up, so I could like maintain eye contact with this thing as it was flying away over the tree line. I had parked my car on the street, so I get out of the car, and I just kept my eye on this thing, like, what is this? And I just kept telling myself like it had to be like some sort of helicopter or drone thing. But then it goes, and it looks like it's probably like 1 or 2 miles away in the sky, because all you see are the little tiny dots. Like you could still make out the colors on this thing, but like it was pretty much like almost like one little light, that like a little multicolored light at this point. And then I'm just looking at it, and it appears to have stopped. And then as I'm standing there, it just goes and shoots straight up, like crazy, straight up. And then as it's shooting up, like it looked like every one of those colored lights, it looked like party streamers. Like, you know, like the streamers that you get that like unravel coming out of the bottom. So some sort of like thrust or something on this thing, to where as it shot up in the sky, it was like a rotating red, green, yellow, blue, like streamers that were coming out of the bottom of it, shot straight up, and then it was just like gone. And I'm again, like to this day, I don't have any answer for what happened or anything. So I told my parents about it. So this is like 2 or 3 years after, it's probably 3 years after our last thing that we saw. So we know that like something's up. I'm not sure if my dad bought it, but my mom was like, I believe it, because we both saw that thing together the last time. So my mom goes online, she's like trying to like see if anybody else saw it, you know? because the other thing, it was like on the ground, so there's no way anybody else could have saw it besides us because we were the only ones out. But this thing was in the sky, and since it shot away, like we were thinking somebody else had to have seen this thing. My mom gets online, she finds this article. Kentucky family worried about repeated UFO sightings over home. This was the day after that I saw it and I like told them about it. They already had this news article. A family in Falmouth, Kentucky is concerned for their safety as UFO sightings near their home are reportedly becoming closer and more frequent. The unnamed family told Mutual UFO Network that the strange lights have approached their home in the early morning hours on 3 occasions on February 16th, 20th, and most recently on the night of the 24th. So I forgot to tell you, I saw this exact same thing happen twice to me. Different formation. The second time it didn't like fly into my street like it did the first time, but this report came out after the second time that I saw it as well. This person saw it 3 times, I only saw it 2. Crazy. The first 2 sightings were of a same looking single object traveling slowly from west to east. 2 objects were observed on the 3rd night. The witness reports that the objects first appear as a bright star until they begin to move when they have multicolored lights, red, blue, green, white, yellow, that blink randomly. And when I got to this point in the article, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not insane. Like there's a freaking article on this. I saw it with my eyes. This is real. On the 3rd night that they were observed, the witness reported seeing a disc shape when the lights appeared to tip on their side, revealing a round disc-shaped bottom with a ring of green lights rotating around the object. The object's movements range from hovering in a still position to moving slowly in a linear path with a slight side-to-side wobble or possible small circling motion and moving up and down in elevation. The witness became concerned for his family's safety on the night of February 24th when the objects flew closer to their home. His wife was standing on the front yard of their home observing the UFOs when a military-type jet flew at the objects. The UFOs disappeared momentarily and then appeared again behind their home too quickly for normal aircraft. Freaking nuts. Eyes, there they go. They're starting to water. That only happens when I get like really spooked. Ew, I don't like it, but I kind of like it. And that's another thing. So we didn't know as well as if it was like military like type testing, because my dad even said that he like thinks there's some weird things. Because my dad is I feel like he's very skeptical. I don't think he's ever seen anything, at least that he's told us. But he even noticed, you saw it in the video, that he said something's like a little weird.
Oh, that's a jet. That's a fighter jet.
That's not a fighter jet. That looks like the business jet.
No, that is, dude, that's a fighter jet.
There's some funky things going on out here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know there's funky things going on.
That happens out at our house. And then like we'll have like random fighter jets just like fly like not like crazy high up, like over the area and stuff like that. It's odd. I guess like the closest Air Force base would be Dayton, Ohio. I don't know. Here's the actual unedited witness report that was made on February 25th. So that's it though. That like no other information has been given. Haven't heard anything else about it. Haven't really seen anything. I mean, a couple years after that, that's when I moved away, and then I haven't seen anything anywhere else since. So some people I feel like do some things for like attention or whatever, but we don't really talk about this too much unless we're prompted, just because I don't want people to think that like we're just crazy people. Pretty insane stuff though. I should just go out to my parents sometimes and just camp out, maybe make some alien hunting videos. No, that's too crazy.
Today's video is brought to you by Organifi. Organifi sent me these dried superfood powders that can be added to water or smoothies. This one's a green juice and this one's a red juice. They're both super high in a lot of vitamins and minerals and are also vegan, gluten, soy, and dairy free. It's really easy to use. Like I said, you just add 1 scoop to your water or your smoothie and let the fireworks begin. The red juice has over 8,000% of your daily value in vitamin B12, which is insane. And the green juice is pretty high in iron, which is something that a lot of people actually lack in their diet. They offer a 60-day money-back guarantee if you're not totally impressed, and you can get 15% off your first order using the discount code TRIBETYLER. To find out more, click the link below.
Haley's leaving me for 4 days.
3 days.
3?
Okay, stop trying to make it longer than it is.
Haley is going down to Henderson, Kentucky to visit her sister. So that means party.
Did you get everything?
How's the bag look?
It looks cool. I like it.
What's it called? called?
Did you fart?
No, I pulled this thing.
Swag. Alright, you look like a camper.
I feel like a
You
camper.
look like a kid. You look like you're like on like a Boy Scout camp.
Well, that's exactly what this is.
Okay, well, this is goodbye.
Did you pack my lunch?
You're gonna need more than just a lunch. I love you.
I was looking at the lens, but I meant you. Ha. Bye.
Bye, have fun.
Everybody say hi.
Good luck.
I feel like my grandpa.